Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Russ English. I'm the president of the Harney County Farm Bureau, and I want to welcome all of you here tonight for the second night of Candidates Night. It's sponsored by the Harney County Farm Bureau. Tonight we're going to have the candidates for county sheriff and district attorney. The forum tonight is going to be real similar to last night for those of you who are here. The moderator will ask each candidate questions from a list of prepared questions and get their responses. So before we start tonight, what I would like to do is I want to thank Shane Otley. Shane, stand up, please. I know most people know you, but Shane Otley is one of our board members. He's also on the Oregon Farm Bureau State Board, representing both Harney and Grant County. He's the one person that was really instrumental for the Farm Bureau putting this together tonight. And Shane, I want to thank you for all your work that you put into it. The other person I want to thank, and I've seen her walk in, she's hiding her in the back of the room, Adversarial Johnson. She's our secretary treasurer, and I want to thank her for helping Shane make this event happen tonight. Okay, thank you. I have a great board. I mean, I do. It's good to be a president with board members that want to help you out. Okay, like I said, it's going to be about the same format as last night. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the moderator for the night. The moderator for tonight is Oregon Farm Bureau President and past Vice President of the American Farm Bureau Federation, Barry Boucher. And Barry, I want to thank you for traveling all the way to Harney County to help us out event together tonight. So with that, let's get started. Barry, it's all yours.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming out. It's very proud. I think it's almost as big as last night. Good. I don't know what happened last night because I wasn't here. I was actually farming 5 hours northwest of here. But anyway, what we want to do tonight is similar thing, ask questions, but I want to remind you that tonight is an opportunity to hear from the candidates as opposed to hearing from the crowd. So we have some questions. Shane's going to time it 2 to 3 minutes for each of the questions. She'll decide whether a 3-minute question is a few long ones, and I'll let you know. But first, we want to start with having each of you introduce yourselves, what office you're running for, a few things about yourself, a few things you'd like to accomplish if elected. We might as well start here on the left, and then we're going to go right on to 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll start with questions.
Rob, you can step down here for a little bit. Up on the stage over everybody. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you inviting here, and I'm happy to be here. A little bit of background about me. I grew up in Hillsboro, Oregon. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. We were free and reduced lunch kids, but we were very well loved and taken care of, and it was a great upbringing. We only have a couple minutes, so let's jump right into my background. My family. In high school, I did 3 sports: track, cross country, and wrestling, and then I went to U of O and was 4-year starter on their NCAA Division I men's wrestling. At U of O, my original intention was to major in a science field and then go on and be an eye doctor or a medical doctor. Then got a B in chemistry. They put letters in the equation, and I tried to start sounding them out. It didn't work out. So after I did that, I kind of had to reevaluate where I was headed. I was either at a crossroads, either going to do chemistry full time or keep wrestling and go to law school. That was my second option. Well, my whole primary reason for even going to college in the first place was to wrestle, so it was pretty easy to start studying for the bar. Graduated from Atlanta and graduated from U of O and went to Willamette for the law school. And when I was at Willamette, it's a 3-year program. Those 3 years, during the school year, I worked 70 to 80 hours a week, all 3 years. Except during summer, I was putting in about 60 hours a week. Now, part of the reason why I was working that many hours was because I was also working for the district attorney's office. And my 3rd year in law school, I was basically acting as deputy district attorney, prosecuting cases. I had 100+ caseload. At one point, I had more cases than anyone else in the office, including the full-time deputy district attorneys. Some of those were violations, so inflated the number a little bit, but I had a lot of cases, a lot of trials. And still managed to graduate in the top 10% of my law school class, and started looking for a prosecutor job. I wanted to be a prosecutor because one time I was having trouble with the defense attorney. I was being kind of sneaky, hiding stuff, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So I went to a more senior prosecutor and I asked him for advice. And he looked at me and he said, "We are the state. We always do the right thing." And that's when it clicked. That's when I decided I'm going to be a prosecutor. I don't want to practice any other type of law. I like being a prosecutor, and I stay being a prosecutor because in this job, every decision that I have to make, every decision I can answer, or I can decide by answering the question, what is the right thing to do? That's what I love about this job. So, that's all the time I have.
I really like that last statement. It is all about what's right. Anyway, my name is Alan Johnson. I just retired from the Oregon State Police about last November. A little bit of my history is I grew up in just a rural town across the river, across the Snake River, in a place called Newfoundland, Idaho. And so this place here is just like home to me. But I grew up in a large family. There's 7 boys and 2 girls. And that was an experience in itself. We didn't have to ask people to come over and play because we were the people that played together. Anyway, I've been in law enforcement since 1985, where I started as a reserve in a small town in Dundee, Oregon. After 5 years, I was given a promotion, if you will. I became a full-time police officer where I served another 7.5 years in the city of Dundee. Did many things. We'll probably talk about those things tonight, but I did many things there. Then I received a job from the Oregon State Police. Sorry, a lot on that, fellas. In 1998, I received a position with the Oregon State Police where I was stationed here at the Burns office. You know, back then they didn't have psychological tests, but that's the one thing they asked me. They said, "We're going to give you a psychological test." I said, "You want to go to where? Burns, Oregon?" Well, they don't know the secrets, do they? I've done many things in my life. Obviously, with seven boys in the family, we did a lot of things. I played sports. I sang. My dad taught us how to sing barbershop. It's been a wonderful thing in my life. Music has been. But the reason I want to become the sheriff, I've been a law for 50 years, and my whole emphasis is to serve people. You know, you see on cars, you see serve and protect on cars. Protecting is really easy to do in my mind. That's a lot of common sense. But how about the service of others? And
I love the opportunity. You know, it's not about the citation or the arrest, it's about how you deal with the people. And that's the opportunity I like to have when I use the contact or when I arrested somebody. Did I take care of that person? Did I take care of him so that when he gets out of jail, that he's a better person? That's what I hope to do. I love this job. It's been good to be retired, but I love this job because for me, I get to meet people like you. You know, Mary, when I came over here in '96, you tried to sell my house, and I didn't take that job. So, but you were a wonderful person here, and I remember you that day. I'm sure I'll talk about more why I want to become the sheriff, but really it's all about you folks. I've enjoyed being with you for 18 years, and I hope to do that longer.
Hi, I'm Segovian. I'm a 2002 graduate of Burns High School here. One of the things I got to do in high school was I was elected the Associated Student Body Justice, which meant I was involved in the teen court here. It was a great program, introduced us to the Harney County courts. And basically, after a teen offender admitted what they'd done, they went from the jury of their peers. During students, we have students acting as a prosecutor, students acting as a defense role. I did both roles, and we basically argued over what was the right thing to do, what was the right punishment to do, what was the best result for everybody involved. That was a great experience. I went off to Notre Dame, a world-class education, and that's really in the meantime. I ended up stacking up over in Ontario, worked for a law firm there. A few months into that, I realized, hey, I can do this too. So I went off to Notre Dame Law School. While I was there, I learned to law. One of the first things I learned was why lawyers were suit and tie, because everybody expects that to do. My third year of law school, I took a practical skills class, and what I ended up doing was every week I went to court. We're in South Bend, Indiana, and I defended people who couldn't afford punishment. I worked with prosecutors, I worked with witnesses, and most of my cases came to some sort of resolution, whether it was dismissal, whether it was the defendant taking responsibility to be guilty. And we always looked for what was the best result, what was the right thing to do. And as Mr. Johnson, what's going to happen to them, after they get out of jail? I think that's a big thing that we need to answer. The people that were arrested and taking the trial, they're our neighbors, they're people here in the community, not the people who live next door. And when they get out, we want to make sure that they're in a place where they're not going to cause more problems. I really like my time here in Burns. I want to get back. After law school, that's when I got Adversarial. Right now, I'm working with John Day, and it's getting closer and closer and closer. I'm regularly appearing in front of Jeff Turner in Harney of the same judicial district. I really like what I do here in criminal law. I stand up for people's constitutional rights. I think that's very important. When someone's accused of a crime and they're told you have right to attorney, that's me. I do feel that running for district attorney and being your district attorney is the best way that I can get back to this community. I got a lot of support from Burns, Hines, Boozy, all of Harney County, in my education, in my pursuits. And I really feel that this is the best way for me to use my talents and do what's best and get back to
out here, and nobody will be able to see me from the back of it because I'm not very tall. Thanks, Mom. Well, my name is Dave Ward, and I'm currently the county sheriff. I've been sheriff for about 14 months. I was appointed after the previous sheriff retired in his term. A little bit about myself. I grew up in a very small community, Drain, Oregon. It's out in rural Douglas County. It was rural back then. Growing up, I was involved in the FFA. I got 9 times in athletics. I did wrestling, football, track. It was a great way to grow up. Grew up working with my dad in the woods, falling trees, sitting out with a team of grass horses. I didn't know I was child labor. I just thought I was just having working with my hands. And I always grew up, really deep down in my heart, one day or another, I was going to be an answer something. I'm law enforcement. So it was kind of a big, long, around the block experience that got me there. I knew that I wanted to join the Army when I graduated high school. My dad had served, my big brother had served. So I knew that I was what I was going to do. So when I turned 18, Mom wasn't trying to stay there. I went up and was able to make that decision for myself. And went off to basic training with all my friends were going off to college, and I wouldn't change that at all. Served a combined 21 years between active, National Guard, and Army Reserves. I retired from the Army Reserves in 2013. I spent time in Somalia as a combat medic. I spent time in Afghanistan, mentoring Afghan basic training and among other missions. And I went straight in there. It wasn't always fun, but I'll tell you what. I know I wanted to serve, and I did. I got into law enforcement when I came home from my last active duty enlistment in the Army in 2002. In between, I had done an active duty enlistment. I'd gotten out and I'd worked some milk, and I liked working with my hands. I worked for the U.S. branch and for the criminal ranch over in Lake County, and I love that lifestyle. Yeah, you don't exactly get this out of it, because you get this in law enforcement. But when I came home, I knew I wanted to serve, and I started putting applications in. Sheriff in Lake County, the last one on my list of places I wanted to work was the only one who called me back and said, come down and interview. So I started out in the jail in 2002. I went to the police academy and certified as a corrections deputy. Later on, I was offered a position here in Harney County, so at some point I moved in, driving back and forth on my days off with my work week, and I worked here in the jail. I later on was offered a position as a parole officer, and I became certified in that position. And down the road, I became a patrol deputy here in the county. And we need to know that there is people that are board and became certified to do that system. So, my last time. Yeah, I got it. That's the right board.
Well, thank you all, gentlemen. We appreciate that. We have 2 sets of questions. Obviously, one for the DA candidate, one for the sheriff candidate. You'll probably notice there's a little bit of overlap in some of the questions, but what we'd like to do is we'll start with DA, we're going to bounce back and forth between the 2 different candidates, and then we'll go to sheriff. We're not going to do all one. We'll bounce back and forth so people won't fall asleep during the meeting. So, especially the candidates. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I think we're going to, is it Joseph, Joe, Joey? We'll do Joe. Joe, obviously part of the role of DA is administrative. So if you could talk a little bit about your education or your experience, how that prepared you to administer the DA's office in Harney County.
Thank you, great question. I have moved here in November 2011, and I've been deputy district attorney since that time. I have been intimately involved for those 4+ years in running and managing the district attorney's office. Mr. Cohen has been a fantastic mentor to me, and I've been, part of the reason why I came here was with the plan that I would have the opportunity when Mr. Cohen retired to take the reins. And so my job for the last 4 years is to do as much experience as possible. And so I've handled the majority of the cases. I've handled every single file, the criminal trial that we've had here in Harney County except one since I got here. We usually have about one trial a month. And I've also been, kind of like I mentioned earlier, involved in managing the office as well. Mr. Cohen has been very involved with the Oregon District Attorneys Association in Salem, so we use out of town guy. And so I've got a lot of experience that way. I also have a PhD in public policy and administration with a specialization in criminal justice. And that, I got a lot of training from that, actually way more than I was even expecting in both government administration and criminal justice theory and practice. So, is that it? Okay, right. So from that program, I learned more than I was even expecting to. It wouldn't take me an entire career to develop the knowledge base that I gained from that PhD program. Both research, I know how to read research studies. That's not something you learn in law school or undergrad. It's specific technical language. So when folks come from Salem, I can deal with it.
Just to make it clear for the candidates, what we'll do is, this is mostly the 2-minute questions, so someone will be 3 minutes, we'll let you know that. James will hold up his phone in 30 seconds, and he'll put it down on the table, and so, or else somebody will come with a big book and you can't get off. All right. Would you like to repeat the question, or you good? I'm good.
So, my experience, a lot of my experience right now is that I'm working in a law office. We depend on combination funding, we depend on state funding, we depend on clients, private clients to pay us money. We have several people who work in it, and we have to generate revenue, and we have to make sure that we're within our budget. We deal with limited resources. We deal with having to request money from the state for certain taxes. I've learned a lot about what we can and can't get funding for. That's a large part of administration. The other part is working with people. I've both been an assistant in law firms, and I now have assistants where I'm with. Dealing with people, making sure the work gets done. That's part of what I do every day. If I don't do that, I get sued. If I don't manage the money, it comes out of my pocket. Obviously, in law school, learn how to deal with cases, learn how to basically deal with it. And it's all kinds of work to it, which is certified. Thank you.
Now we're going to go to the sheriff's candidate. So he's going to start with a similar question about administration. It looks like the sheriff's office here has about 20 employees, and maybe a budget of $2 million. We'll start with Alan. If you could talk a little about your administrative experience in dealing with those things.
Sure. Never been a sheriff before. However, my administrative experience started when I was young, as a young missionary out in Colorado. I was able to 20 to 25 to 30 also young missionaries who I was in charge to make sure that the proper training was given to take physical data and to go to their areas and to
be with them and train with them. And you got to think about that. How could a 19-year-old be, over 25 more 19-year-olds? I mean, you don't have too much life experience, and so I was able to do that. As a police officer, I was promoted to third sergeant, where I was in charge in a number of officers, where I was also in charge of making sure their duties were being kept up. They were required to put in 20 hours, and so I have some experience there. And as far as law enforcement, that's the only experience I have in directing the affairs. Now, budgets, I've never done a budget either, but this I have done. My life is in order. I have kept my life in order. Well, I'll go in on my wife. She has kept our life in order. I'm financially in order. And that is a good trait, I would say. I don't have to, by another 120 days, I'll have everything paid off. And so I've conducted my life in a way that I can manage those things. I've remodeled 5 homes. I can manage those things. And it's a very difficult situation, but I put myself in it and I was able to work hard and accomplish those things.
My management started when I was young as well. When I was a young squad leader in the Army, I was in charge of seven other soldiers. I was also assigned for more than $200 million worth of parts and equipment. And I was in charge of all the maintenance for basic nickel firing batteries. Farther on down the road, I became a United States Army drill sergeant. And at any given time, we were in charge of upper team of 60 young men and women. And when you're lucky enough to be thrown out in front of the whole company, and we've got 240 people just doing drills. The sheriff's office, I'll tell you what, it's not easy. It's a lot easier to talk about being a sheriff than it is to be one. I can promise you that. And we've got a budget of $2.4 million. It's spread out over across 4 different departments: patrol, the jail, parole and probation, and nuts center. And I've got employees across the board there. Employees, I mean, easier to manage than budget. Budget is tricky. Just because you got $2.4 million doesn't mean you can just spend it and put that out there. We have a responsibility to be fiscally responsible. That's your money that we're sending that. And you can't say I need a new rig and go pull that out of any little budget line item. You are held accountable to specific items, specific line items. Paper comes out of one, vehicles comes out of one, and 20 paychecks come out of the other. And you have to stay on top of that budget throughout the year. Quarterly, you find out where you're at. At the end of the year, you find out where you're getting lynched or not.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll go back to the DAs. I'm going to start with Kim this time. How would you describe your relationship with local law enforcement?
My relationship with local law enforcement, I know most of them by name. I went to Harney Police, I went to police. I deal with them in our cases. We have to respect each other. We have to get along because we see each other all the time. I believe we have great local law enforcement, very trustworthy people, and the people I like to see here. Simply get along, and I hope to be working a lot more closely with them in the future.
That is not one word. My relationship with law enforcement is fantastic. I work very closely with them, and hopefully these guys will agree. It's really good. They know that they can call me at any hour of the day or night and ask me questions. Sometimes I'm there just to bounce an idea off of. Sometimes I'm there to give advice, legal advice. Sometimes just to look over search warrants. I've looked over search warrants on vacation in the middle of hunting. I'm always available, and they know that. And that's something that I take pride in. I can be kind of that person that they can rely on. I also put on training for law enforcement over the past few years since I've been here, past 4 years I've been here. And every time there's a legal change, a new case law comes out, we put together a memo and send it out to law enforcement. Sometimes I notice when I'm reading police reports that we need to brush up on certain areas of law, and I'll put together memos that I just did a few weeks ago. I put together one on frisk searches. Right now I'm working on updating our warrant package, so put it on thumb drive, hopefully or on CD for each guy, and they'll be able to just bring up that template and make things even easier. So we work very closely. We're not in lockstep necessarily, but we have a really good working relationship right now. It's obviously my plan would be to continue that, and I just enjoy working with them. It's a good group of guys. Thanks.
I'm going to start this time with you, David, and the question is, obviously one of the challenges of any role anymore seems to be paperwork. So, how do you consider yourself as experience with timely, proficient reports that top daily advice to what we're doing and that accomplished?
Well, first of all, in law enforcement, they teach you day one at the academy that if it's not a report, it didn't happen. So, bottom line, paperwork is absolutely important in this line. Being able to do timely and proficient, accurate reports is absolutely necessary. Not only do you owe it to every member of the community, but you owe it to the potentially accused in the crime to do the best possible investigation that you can. Because in our country, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty. And you don't stay on top of that stuff, and you're not proficient in it, you're doing everybody a disservice. You're doing the potential victims of the crime a disservice. You're doing the potential accused a disservice. So timely and accurate reporting is absolutely very important.
There's only one way to do it, and that's the way to do it. And sometimes people can tell you how to write reports. It's just part of the job. It's just part of getting things done. And I've had to do that. I've had to do them quickly. I didn't write too many search warrants, so when those search warrants were necessary, you had to get them done quickly. And it was time. There was a lot of time management involved in that, and it was difficult. But even though sometimes I might have slipped a day or two, but they were part of the process, and I enjoyed every part of it. Now, that kind of goes with what time management is, how to manage your time. And throughout my career, I've had to do a number of things. I was a DARE officer for 6 years. I had to manage my time with little kids from kindergarten up to 6th grade and go keep all those kids with the time that I had. And so it's all about time. And as we manage our time and as we get those things done, then we accomplish what our goal is. I'm sure as a sheriff, as Dave probably experienced it, that the report system is a whole lot different than just being a normal patrol deputy, trooper. Time putting that. So it's all about managing time. And
I've done that, I think, pretty well, and I look forward to that.
I can't make that. I'm sorry, folks. We're gonna go back to Joe to start with, and if you could talk a little bit maybe about how many felony cases you've been involved in, either defending or prosecuting.
I have reviewed thousands of felonies. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
How many cases have I been involved in either defending or prosecuting? Sorry, thank you. So, I've reviewed thousands of charges and handled hundreds of cases. I've handled hundreds of felonies. Last year, we had by one count, we had 485 felony cases filed since I got here. And so I've handled the majority of the cases since I got here. I've handled hundreds of felonies. And that's through making charging decisions, plea offers, through trial, if they plead not guilty. So, thank you.
I can't claim hundreds and hundreds, but certainly dozens of felony cases. In my practice, I started off doing misdemeanors and violations, and worked my way up. As most of my work has been court-appointed work, I didn't get my way into felonies until I had years of experience, because that's what we want. We constitute one provided lawyers. I'm not that bad. Sorry, yeah. Just a little better. So I have handled dozens of felony cases on my own as food attorney. The serious cases, people are facing prison, people are facing loss of rights. I take that seriously, and I put a lot of work into this. Thank you.
all right, the next question, sorry, is for the sheriff. I think it's Alan, Sheriff, if I remember right, to start with. Can you tell us about your experience in serving civil process papers? Sorry, I didn't write it.
I think Sheriff Blair had me do one. And it might have been down south when he knew I was going down there. You know, it's nothing different than any contact that you have with the public. You serve it, you treat them with dignity, with respect, regardless of what type of case it might be. It might be nothing related to me, but it might be in this case, a civil case. It's not going to be related to me, but sometimes there's criminal cases, and you have to just deal with these people. Sometimes they're going to be really upset. So it's very important that you communicate the right type of words so that you, in a sense, gain compliance, that they understand that this is just a job that you're doing. And it's nothing against them. So thank you, Dave, for that. I had an answer.
I didn't know how much it cost to change it one time, so you try to go quickly. Actually, the civil process is one of the portions of the sheriff's duties that's mandated by law. And I'll go out on a limb and say it's probably one of the more uncomfortable duties that the sheriff or the deputy have to do. Somebody's knocking on your door with civil paper, it's never good news. And like Alan said, it's important that those papers are served courteously, and that people are treated the way you would want to be treated if you were in the same shoes. You knock on the door and somebody's lost their job, and you're the guy that shows up to let them know the bank foreclosure on their home. It's darn uncomfortable, and it's the sheriff's response. Not everybody just grows up with the ability to walk up and hand somebody back in.
This next question is directed back to the DAs, and I think it's Tim's turn. It's maybe a little bit repetitive, but we're going to ask how many trials they've been involved in, maybe what their most difficult case has been. So I think Tim, you're up.
Well, the criminal justice system is set up to discourage trials. I represent hundreds of people. I've only had a handful of cases that actually went to trial. Most of the time, we're smart with resources, and we, either the case gets dismissed, or defendants please to an appropriate charge with an appropriate sentence. This is a good trial, usually where someone doesn't have anything to lose, or the alternative where they are so, their belief in their rights is so justified that they're willing to accept whatever consequence comes and trust in each other. Probably the most difficult case I had was an assault case. It was a self-defense case. My client had been attacked, and my client ended up winning the fight. And we really had to discuss with the jury at what point does your right to self-defense end, and at what point are you now the aggressor. That was probably the most difficult case, because you have neither side's entirely in the right, neither side's entirely in the wrong. And you have to go to trial on that. And in the end, it was up to the jury, the peers, and we had to make a choice.
I've had 61 trials, and I've prepped a lot more than that because they settled right before. And as a general rule, I have about a trial. As a vast majority of those trials have been jury trials. As far as my most difficult trial, I tend to come to mind for the three things I've done. One was, it was a kidnapping case where an individual held his mother at gunpoint, the shotgun out. It was in a really remote area where they had a cabin and there wasn't anybody around. It was a complex case, just with the kidnapping itself, and it was a difficult case because the witnesses were, the primary witnesses were his mother and father, who really loved this guy. But this guy kind of into a kind of mess, he wasn't functioning very well, he functioned dangerously. So it was difficult from the victim's standpoint, and it was a complex case. In addition, it had enhancement factors, which is a mini trial after the actual verdict. They found him guilty, and then we had an additional trial after that the next day to determine whether he was going to go to prison for even longer. He ended up going to prison for 12 years. I had another case, it was a child sex abuse case. It was emotionally drained. The only co-counsel case I've had. But I did the DNA aspect of that trial, which was heavy into the science. I had to read the textbook. It was tough. And it was factually, it was a really tough case too, because it was a foster trial that had done.
Looks like it's actually going to work. I think we're with David, if I remember right. Could you talk to us a little bit about your experience as a supervisor, maybe generally, but more specifically, a supervisor employee, working in law enforcement. And this is a 3-minute question, so you can write 2 books. Thank you. I get a little nervous out there. I think drive something. Basically, as county sheriff, I oversee four different areas. Each one of those is vastly different from the other. And so you have to learn to be up to date on policies and procedures in several different areas. We also have 2 different employee contracts. The dispatchers are represented by a union, and the deputies are represented by association. So the deputies, the parole and probation, and the corrections guys fall into that contract. So not only do you need to, as a supervisor, be able to keep up with the day-to-day issues with staff, recognizing when one of your staff members is functioning outside of their normal characters or struggling, you also have to be able to keep up with what their distinct job duties are within your organization, as well as staying on top of what lawful and binding contract your agency has with those employees. So there's really a lot that goes into it. Day-to-day operation, I think that you want to be able to treat that employee the way you want to treat them if you were in their shoes. At the same time, you can't afford to allow rules to go unfollowed, policies and procedures to be broken, because the general public sees us as needing to be held to a standard. And you should be able to live and set the example, hold yourself to a higher standard than other folks in the community. And our employees do that.
I would just echo, the standard part is really important. Because if you're not setting the standard, then your employees aren't going to follow after you. Now, it's been a long time since I've been a supervisor of law enforcement people. And that was back in 1985, where I was able to supervise reserve officers. And of course, I obviously had restrictions when I supervised them because I had somebody above me. So I wasn't the primary person that was the supervisor. But that gave me the opportunity to understand people, understand them, and be able to help them effectively do the job that they needed to do. Like I said, they had to put 20 hours in. I was responsible to make sure that happened. So I had to do it myself. That wasn't a problem because I truly enjoyed doing the job. One of the great things that I got to do in Dundee was to be introduced to the DUI investigation process, and I loved that. And so I was able to perform those duties as a reserve officer, and I was able to have the experience of going to trials. So I had to supervise over them. And again, as I said, I was a young missionary, 19 years old, supervising other 19-year-olds. And it was a difficult thing because sometimes 19-year-olds don't want to do what you want them to do. And I had to report to our mission president. But the challenge is there, and I enjoyed it. And so my experience necessarily in a day that I haven't had that experience. How much time do I have? I got a minute. This is what I would say to that. Back in I didn't know what I wanted to. And so what I did, I knew how to use tape. I knew how to cut a board. But I wanted a nice house. I didn't want to have to pay a contractor to do it. So what I did, I asked smart people how to do it. I did the electrical, the plumbing, the drywall, everything. Okay? So I believe that even though I don't have this experience as a sheriff, I'll go find out. And that's truly important. I think truly important to
know everything. And when I can ask smart people, then that's how we learn to do those things. Thank you. We're going to go back to the DA. We're going to start with John. Obviously, administration is a costly thing, and counties are always looking for dollars. How would you, as DA, reduce the cost of the judicial administration, if you think you can, or can you also give us specific examples of how you may have reduced costs either in your own law practice or where you're currently working now?
Thank you, that's a good question. I am not planning on reducing costs. I think the budget is good where it's at. Actually, we could use a few more dollars to get more work done. I think that if we start cutting the budget, we're going to start seeing a reduction in services and a reduction in public safety. And when public safety starts taking nosedive, the rest of the community is going to. So I think a strong, healthy prosecutor's office and law enforcement in general is essential to a strong, healthy community. You're not going to want people to move. People aren't going to want to come to move here if crime rates are. Okay? You're not going to want to move here if crime rates are going. You're not going to want to move here if crime rates are going up. So it has to do with quality of life, and so I'm not planning on reducing the budget. If there's ways we can save, I think that's great. We're pretty efficient right now. So, for example, our office manager, Angie Temple, she's amazing. She does child support, and she's the office manager handling a lot of the paperwork for the felony cases. We have Cheryl Runnels, who handles the misdemeanor cases, and then we have Victims Advocate, who's grant funded. So, most DA's office, they have several people working on child support. Angie does both. So, anyway, we run a pretty tight ship right now. I think any changes would definitely be better. So, thank you.
Just a few questions, I'll make sure I answer it.
Certainly. How would you see yourself reducing the cost of judicial administration in Harney County? And can you give us any examples of how you may reduce costs in your own law practice?
Okay, well, as Mr. Lucas pointed out, there is a budget that's being utilized. It's not a lot of cost to reduce, but there are ways we can provide services that grant funding is a great example. There have you passed things like the firearms grants? I know up in Grant County we have one of those, and that pays part of the deputy prosecutor's salary. Also pays for certain law enforcement for different advocates, that kind of thing. So going after grants would be important. The other thing to recognize is that my vision efficient office, we have streamlined things down. There could be a lot more expenditures if that happened. The biggest savings is not really trial in these cases. So I think that making charging decisions that accurately reflect the crime, making plea offers that actually incentivize the guilty to be guilty rather than waste time going to trial, rather than wasting police officers having to come sit all day at the trial, especially when there's multiple officers on the case. I think that's the way we keep costs down to where they are. Thank you.
We're going to start this one with Alan. I think with Alan mentioned his opening remark about service. How good do you see yourself selling or promoting enforcement? What are your views on the importance of providing service? And what is your definition of service, I guess, as it relates to how you perform your duties as sheriff? And that's a 3-minute question. All right. I have to remember 3 questions.
Service. Service is everything. Whether you're serving your family, whether you're serving friends, serving is everything. And the reason I say that is because
the trust and confidence in the people that we serve, they will come to you, and you won't be able to go to them to get information. So trust and confidence is huge. And by serving, I mean you serve people with dignity, with honor, because you want to make sure that when they have contact with the sheriff, that the contact is good. That it's not a contact where, because of what I did, he's going to get the brunt of it next time. You want to make the service important so that you can change that person's life. And so that when he has contact with law enforcement, that contact will be positive and good. Now the definition of service, there could be many definitions of service. When I think of service, Lord, you're pretty squared away. You're a pretty good person. I know you well, and you have a great job, you probably have a great family, and a great home. And Lord, probably doesn't need my services as well as maybe the person that I just arrested. How about the person that's down and out? How about the person that's struggling at Shell to earn a living? Service would be to go and hang out with that guy. Make him feel that he is of some type of worth. Because sometimes when we get to service, we always think of, I'm just going to serve the guy that's obeying the law. And really the best type of service that you can give is the person that really needs it bad. And I've seen that. One of the great examples, I wish I could give this a great example, is many of you know Gloria Fritz. Many of you know Gloria Fritz. Now, Mrs. Temko, Judge Temko, gave a great service to him and allowed him to go through treatment court and to become something better than what he was. He was an awful mess. And I was his mentor, so I knew exactly what was going on. If it wasn't for her patience and dedication and love, that kid wouldn't be where he's at today.
No worries. Both promoting and selling service, or promoting and providing service, how do you see yourself in that role? How busy with that? What are your views of the importance of providing those services? And I guess how would you define service?
Thank you, sir. As far as promoting service, I think that you have to absolutely show a presence in the community. And seeing as much vehicle in the community, let the community know that they're out there. And I agree that the sheriff's deputies, all of our civil servants should be out in the community and touching base with folks and making sure that people know we're there. We're not just there for negative stuff, but getting in schools, promoting service in schools. Children who grow up without a relationship with law enforcement, they grow up seeing stuff on TV, and they grow up with misconceptions. So I think that getting out in the schools and doing things with the kids at an early age and promotes that service. Providing the service, service can be provided in many different ways through Johnson touched on, but the best is possible. And I think it's very important in providing that service that we always remember that we want to be treated a certain way. I mean, everybody that we encounter wants to be treated that way as well. And my definition of service is going out of your way to provide something that somebody needs, not because you have to, but because you want to.
Tim, on the DA, what would be your approach if any of the state legislature and or the governor's office to address criminal justice policy issues at a political level?
Thank you. First of all, there is a Oregon Associate Student District Attorney, there's a Oregon District Attorney Association, they're all letting in there. But I think we work with the legislature, maybe work on policy. And district attorneys, we have a voice to that organization. One specific issue I would actually like to work on with our legislatures has to do with the mandatory sentencing guidelines here in Oregon. Right now, I'm sure most of you are aware, we do have mandatory sentencing guidelines that say if you did X crime, basically you're doing between Y and 2 months in prison. So usually a fairly narrow range depending on the crime. And when sentences taken away discretion from our judges, it's taken away a lot of discretion to treat cases individually. And that is an example that we put a lot around here. Harney's a great example of that mandatory sentencing. But that's actually not our local case, not this office. But, it says that the person charged with this crime after less than 5 years, even though judge found that it shocks the conscience to get that. I think I would publicly support changes to that system to allow our judges to come to make decisions and to allow us to work. Perhaps offer what would be a more fair sentence to defendants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a great question. I have, as far as dealing with the legislature and the government, I have the research and policy background to work with them. When they come to us and they have this new program that they want to implement, let's say, and they say, studies show this works. I have the background to actually go and find those studies and read them and know what they're saying and know what they don't say. And just because they work somewhere else doesn't mean they're going to work here. So I have a background to protect the interests of Harney County from those outside influences. I've worked with the Oregon District Attorneys Association to do that, but also I call legislators myself and discuss these policy issues. Extensive training from my PhD program on those issues, especially criminal justice theories, deterrence, those types of things, and policing practices as well. Now, there was, I can't remember what the specific issue was that came up, but there was this group that was pushing for a change in the legislature, and they were relying on specific studies to do that. And these studies did not say what they claimed to say, but only a careful reading would have shown that. So in the end, I would be able to say, yep, that's a good idea for us, or nope, that would be an educated decision that was based off of my understanding of the
We might throw a couple of extra sheriff questions in here. It looks like we have more questions for sheriffs than we do for DA, so we'll do that now. About 2 or 3 in a row here. This time we're going to start with David. Animal neglect in Harney County. How do you handle those? How important do you see them? And can you give us any examples about how this is not the case? I always just felt like a good on that.
Animal neglect in Harney County, that's pretty, it's a sensitive topic, because I'll tell you what, there's people that don't live here that just don't understand. We've had people call 911 driving down the highway because there's, horses standing out on the side of the road that don't have blankets on and snows. So, I'll tell you straight out that, training is absolutely of the utmost importance. Just because you grew up in Harney County doesn't mean that you work with livestock. And I have guys that work for me right now that tell you, hey, I don't know the first thing about it, Sheriff, but there's training available. And people have to be able to determine the difference between neglect and abuse. And there's a horse out there that has been that family's friend and neighbor for 30 years. It's simply living out his old age. It happens. There have been some cases in Harney County where it's out and out neglect, and those people absolutely are doing wrong. And it takes a thorough investigation and bringing out a veterinarian and the experts and looking at and documenting each and every one of them. You have to go through and number every animal and take the before and after photos of these animals to document that for your investigation. It's just as important to put that kind of effort into any other animal call to make sure that somebody's not being wrongfully accused because they've got a 15-year-old dumber cow standing out there that haven't been able to make the slaughter cut yet.
One good opinion might not mean that it's the way it is, but it's a very sensitive issue when someone comes to say, these horses are not being fed, these horses are not being taken care of, and perhaps if you go there, they might look fine to you, but you have to go ahead and look at the situation as it is. And so this is a very sensitive thing because animals mean a whole lot to people. So when you go to the other side and you look and talk with those people, it may be the case. And so, I learned in law enforcement, there's always two sides of the story. If you get one side of the story, you're thinking, oh my gosh, these things are starving. And you go to the other side and you see that, well, the situation isn't as serious. But I have dealt with neglect of animals, abuse of animals. One of the biggest cases that I helped on was out in the Narrows where they took a number of horses and horses that, one horse could not even hardly walk at all. And we had to deal with that. Of course, there was those groups that were there that helped us. But we just had to take care of the situation as it was. And yeah, it's a very sensitive situation. But if you deal with that situation as you would deal with anybody in person, you just have to do what's right so that they understand your job, they understand what you're doing, and so that you go away there with a positive experience. But it is a very sensitive situation.
All right, Alan, we're going to start with you again. What do you view as some of the more significant law enforcement issues in Harney County? And how would, if elected sheriff, what would be your top priority and how would you resolve some of them?
Sure. Obviously there's a lot of issues, and in 3 minutes you cannot put up with issues, but obviously as a group of people here, we constantly deal with the drug issues that go through these highways. And I had the opportunity to be trained by, I think, one of the greatest, around here, Officer Sergeant Williams, and he helped to train me in detecting and locating and seizing and arresting people who were running narcotics through our community. And believe me, they have affected our community a great deal. People everywhere say, geez, there's a lot of drugs in my community. Well, I think also one of the pressing things is that because of what we have gone through in this community, we need to get back to where we were at. And I've had some, how much time do I have? I've had some experience in this where I went through a situation similar to this in the city of Dundee, where there was illegal things going on, immoral and unethical things in my department, where it came to a point where I had to take the proper steps. That's really important. Take the proper steps and take care of the situation. Guess what happened? Just like that happened here. There was a split. There was a split in the community. And I thought I was a well-respected person. And when I took something of great concern to the DA's office, the proper way, there was a great divide. And so I would say this to one of the most important issues, that we need to respect the opinions of everybody. You might not agree with it, you might not believe it, but let me tell you that the verbal bloodshed that is going on here, it's got to stop, because I've seen it happen. I've seen it in my own life. I've felt that in my own life, and that has to go away. I'm just telling you that by experience. It was no fun to do what I did, but we have to respect everybody, and then work those things out. And it took a 2-year process. It was probably the worst 2 years of my life, but we had to go through the proper channels to take care of these things, and it'll happen. My name was cleared. Those things that were going on were going on. I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't true.
There are so many components to law enforcement, and they're all equally important. Alan touched on drugs. We see stuff in the community today that we didn't see some years back. We got heroin coming back in the community. We've got legalized marijuana now. Not down on anybody that uses, but that stuff makes it into our school. And so I would say that a huge priority is law enforcement being able to get together and work together, good working relationships, and start hitting back where we need to be. And by hitting back, I mean getting out there and forming those relationships, helping keep that stuff out of the school. Another issue that I see is repeat offenders. We got folks that are actually repeat offenders that are not super bad people, they just do bad things sometimes. They make bad decisions. There's programming out there. Programming doesn't always work. I don't believe you can always help crime and distribution. I believe that actions have consequences. Sometimes those consequences mean you have to do some time. You have to take some time on supervision, where that supervising officer is there and is trained to intervene in your life and point you in different directions. And that sometimes people fall down to those consequences and they have to go take a time out and think for a couple of days. It's not a bad thing. But we have to also constantly work towards the things that we think can make the system better, fighting it. Recent night, I know last time we touched on transitional housing, because I think that sometimes people come home from jail or prison or just things aren't going right and they have nowhere to go, and I think that the health system to the likelihood of them reoffending. I believe it would be good to at some point try to work on helping some of these folks get further education, take excuses of that, maybe a GED program in the jail. I've been working with some folks on trying to get together and see if we could put together a 12-step program that people could start on and get in the habit of going to meetings and working on treatment while they're incarcerated, so they're not sitting there watching TV for 90 days, but actively looking at their lives. So I think there's a lot of stuff we can do. I think it's all equally important. Thank you.
One before we go back to, I mean, there's more than that, but one more before we go back to DA. We talked a little bit with the DA candidate about budget. In terms of budget, we're going to start with David. Given the budget constraints, how we constrict our taxpayer dollars and still manage the priorities at hand?
Great question. It's budget time, so I spend a big portion of my morning stressed out, wanting to throw up, cry, and work through some things. We absolutely have to be frugal. And as a matter of fact, the county, if you were here last night, you heard about the PERS issue. There's a lot of money that basically we can't spend our own. So we got to find a way to conserve what we have. There's a lot of things that we have to do. We have to be team players. Just because that vehicle out there is going to shine as the newest one that's out on the market doesn't mean that the guy needs it. So we're going to have to work with what we have for a while. We need to work on, absolutely, to work in law enforcement, we always have to be working on furthering the training. Training experience is huge in this business. But training expenditures and travel and that, we have to work on getting training to come here. We have to work on looking into grants. Grant money is there. We do have to work with other agencies. I really don't care what your opinion is, but if the BLM wants to ask us to have a deputy patrol their ground, then we absolutely need to sign an agreement with them and use that money to get one of our guys out there and patrol those areas. We have the biggest county in the state, land-wise, we're the 8th largest in the United States, I believe, and we have 4 deputies. We've gotten good at sketching things out and make them do with little, and we're going to have to work harder on that in the upcoming years.
So $2.4 million as the county budget that we have to work with. Now, I've never worked with $2.4 million, but I guess that would seem like a lot of money at the onset, but really when you have $2.4 million, most of it probably goes to the employees. So what do we do? Dave touched on a couple questions ago about training. We need to have the best training that we can for our deputies, so that they do the best job that they can accomplish. Now, how that is done, I don't know. I can only look at my own situation as one who built 2 homes and built and remodeled 5. There has to be a lot of thought and a lot of action that goes into that, and hopefully that the end result is going to be good. It's going to be able to house for the sheriff's office. It's going to be well trained, well equipped. The greatest deputies that we can have, and do it within the means that we have. Like I said, my wife has kept us at it all our lives, and there's something that's good about that we remain, that my family has remained free from debt, and we haven't had to deal with the problems that money can come about.
We're going to start back with John, please. Joe, I'm sorry. I get Josh too, so yeah. I still answer. Yep. Last night, my mind. Let's see, I lost my place. Oh, here we go. If you were in a court, no, my apologies. If you were in a courtroom and you observed someone that you thought, as DA, that you thought was being fully represented by an unprepared, uneffective lawyer, how would you handle
Just to have a sidebar, and so the defendant can, yeah, I'd still do that, even if it's embarrassing to the defense attorney. That way we both come up to the judge's bench, the client would stay at the table, and I bring up my concerns to the judge, and then the judge would handle it from there if he had my hands. But with that said, when I make a charging decision, I am looking for whether there are any constitutional violations or any rules violated. And then, when I make that charging decision, if there is a constitutional violation, I decide whether the case can still be proven at its jury trial beyond a reasonable doubt without the evidence that has been collected in violation. And if it can't be, then I won't file the case. Now that's because I think that every single defendant should be treated the same, regardless of whether they have a great defense attorney or a poor one, or whether they just represent themselves. Each and every single one of them gets the exact same deal. I think plea offers before I even know what attorney is on the case, or whether they're representing themselves. The plea offer doesn't change. You treat similarly situated people the same, and you be consistent. That's one, because it's fair and equitable. And number two, and there's always extenuating circumstances, I'm open to that, but the folks who are the repeat offenders, they talk, and the punishment should be expected. Consistent. They know what they're going to get if they violate the law.
Well, I saw someone who's being totally represented. I think, I thought he believed it from that success, what they approach. Bring up to the judge. The court case on effective attorneys basically says it's okay for you to attorney false suit as long as it's away from the important parts. I hope I never take that road. I believe that the right to have an attorney represent you is a fundamental constitutional right. It's very important. It's what I do. And I think it's clearly if I see someone where justice is not being served, we would have to do something. Talk to the judge, most likely you would talk to the attorney and find out that we need to change something. We have an adversarial system in our courts. And it's based on that before. It's based on having two sides who can both present cases to the jury and having the jury think about it, having the jury listen to all the facts, and that's how we achieve justice under our system. As a district attorney, I think my plea offers would be open to negotiation, having been on the other side. The defense attorney always knows the circumstances. You get started out ahead of time and you don't change it. That takes into account each person's specific circumstances. That doesn't take into account the needs of the community. And it doesn't take into account serving that how can you get it out there what the best person that you do.
Alan, we have a question here. Obviously, public lands has created some challenges right across the West, maybe no more particularly right here. In your view of law enforcement being carried out on public lands, should it be in the hands of the county, state government, federal government, combination of what are your thoughts on public and reporting?
Yeah, it's a huge issue. I have land, I want my land, I want to keep it. I would suspect that the biggest, the issue should be is that what is right, and if it belongs to me, it belongs to me. I have not, obviously when this situation has come up, I don't think anybody really understood the magnitude of this. So what is right now is that the federal government owns certain lands. And if we want to change that, you have to go through a certain process. You don't occupy federal buildings, federal places. When I was a state trooper, my car says publicly owned. That didn't mean that you could come and drive my car. There were some jokes about that, though. My last day of working, I'll let you drive my car. You couldn't do that. You can't do that. And so there is a process. If you think the federal government is overreached, which I think everybody in this community has thought that, but if you think they've overreached, then you need to go through the process to take care of that. Don't occupy any buildings. I won't, but I will do what's right. Because that's what I've done throughout my whole career. And that's just the way we have to do it. I mean, I think that what happened, now we're faced with the problem that was caused about what happened. Wasn't done the right way.
Well, that's a good question. First of all, public lands is just that. They're going all over. And the uses for those public lands are regulated by different laws and different agencies. Quite frankly, if we're talking about the financial management at a local level, I don't think it could be done on a tax base, not on what we bring in. I've seen around the country multiple states who do things differently. We have a lot of public lands out west. You go back east, you got to get permission if you want to go hunt on fishing. And so I think that having public lands with multiple use and having somebody to help regulate that so that everybody gets a fair share of what we all own is absolutely important. Do I think that we should work harder, work together to find better ways to manage that and make sure that everybody's voice is heard? Well, we own the government. We were proud of that in the first place. And so all we want to know is that they realize that their voices are heard. So as far as the public land issue and all that fiasco that went on, I'm just going to say that they were wrong, and that's why I stood against it. I believe it's the county sheriff, it's your job to uphold the law. And your job description is outlined in the law. And if you go to the Oregon Constitution says prefer the law. And it's right there in black and white. So, as far as public lands go, we all own them. We all have equal opportunity to use them. And it needs to stay that way.
Kim, the office of district attorney is a very public office, and I think both of you interact more different from you personally, socially, economically, politically, in that role.
Well, as the attorney, I already am governed by a set of rules that says I have to treat everyone, that I have to be honest with everyone. I can't treat my clients differently just because they're different. you have to deal with people with different opinions. You have to deal with people with different opinions of what's right and wrong, whether something's criminal or not. And you listen to them. Attorney and the office has been on educating as to what is a crime, educating law enforcement as to what they can and can't do. One of the biggest things I believe is if it's not illegal, it's legal. People shouldn't be afraid of their government. People should know where the boundaries are, what they can and can't do, or if it's trouble. But if you haven't said you can't do it, you should be able to do it. You should be able to make stupid decisions as long as they're not endangering other people.
So, first off, I'm not preaching at you, but I'm a religious person, and I believe that I'm obligated to love everyone. And the definition of love is willing the good of the other as others. Right? Not as someone that, not for your own personal gain, so that they get in a good position, so they can help you out later, but just willing their good, just for the sake of themselves, for the sake of them. So I try to approach every person like that. And that hopefully guides every action I take. Not always, I'm not perfect, but that's my goal. Now, Jeremy Bentham and Caseload are early philosophers that greatly influenced the founding fathers. And they had believed that the defendant, they were criminal justice philosophers, and they had believed that the defendant was still a member of society. And I adopt that belief. That defendant's interests aren't excised, aren't cut off from the rest of the community. When I'm making a plea offer or a sentencing recommendation, I'm still taking into account, my goal is to promote the public good, promote society's good, and that includes the interests of the defendant. Now, sometimes the interests of the defendant are trumped by what's better for society, but it's still a factor that's taken into account. So that's why a lot of our felony cases, some jail time for deterrent, and probation and treatment. That way, we're getting both sides. So.
I think I've got the order right. We're going to go back to David. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts about concealed carry in Oregon, and particularly with regard to Harney County and how that impacts you?
Basically, the law in Oregon is if there's not a criminal history there or some reason by law that prevents it, anybody can apply for a concealed handgun license. And as sheriff, it's your responsibility to make sure that before you issue those, that you're not giving somebody license to carry concealed. Now, I'm sure everybody here knows my stance on the Second Amendment. I'm very pro Second Amendment guy. That said, I believe that as with every right that we have a responsibility to exercise that responsibility. So, I personally don't have any issue with concealed carry. As long as you've got somebody who's doing it within the boundaries of the law. Oregon doesn't recognize out-of-state concealed carry permits. And so recently we have two cases in town that were violating our law. You got to stop them and reason that they talked about this cases earlier. I personally don't like to be touched, so I think to stop. But no, in all honesty, it has to be done within the courses of the law. Where shall issue state, if you're a citizen and you felon free and would like to get a concealed carry permit, not by the sheriff's office, maybe it's
I used to stop people, and they say, hey, I got a piece of reference to make. Well, I would say perfect. Because maybe, just maybe, if I would find myself in a bit of trouble, that person would help me. Just maybe. So I love concealed carry. Guns have been a part of my life for as long as I can remember as a boy. And then I got my first obviously it's gone to that, and you've done something to the gun, but I think that the Second Amendment is a wonderful amendment, and that we should value that as much as we can. Now, the impact on me as a sheriff would be that I would want to give that right to every person that I have within myself, within the law, to give. Sometimes people who have mental disorders, probably not the best thing for them to have. But everyone who has the right, who has the ability, who goes and gets trained, should have that right to carry that weapon. It's a wonderful right. Let's not do anything. Let's keep that right safe. You know, when people at Safeway were, they had those guns out, everyone can see them, and people are scaring people. I don't think that is the right that we should have. We should keep that right safe. You know, that wasn't part of our life. We didn't go around with our guns out on our side.
I think we're at Joe. I hope it's not. I apologize to him. Joe, could you tell us about your greatest accomplishment both in your legal career and in your personal life?
Personal life being me, I'm married. Married, I have 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. Legal, greatest accomplishment in my legal career. I don't know, it's tough because I don't, I guess just serving as the deputy district attorney for Caseload, being so intimately involved in running the office. One of the things that a lot of people ask me, hey, did you win? After I try something. And I never answer yes or no, because I don't see it like that. It's not a game. And a lot of, that's pervasive throughout the attorney world, the legal world. They will always say, win or lose. Other prosecutors even. But that's not how I operate. I resist that worldview. No matter if they're guilty or if they're acquitted, everybody loses. It's gotten to that point. So that's my take on it. I don't believe it's hashtag keeping score. It's another day at the office. When I'm in trial, it's another day at the office. It's just always, one day isn't any different from the next, it just happens to be in different stuff. So whether it's a serious case or I'm making charges, it's all. I don't have to make a comment. Thank you.
Well, I'm not married, so I don't say it's 50 easy answer. My greatest accomplishment is just being here today. Really. Being in the position I'm in. I've done a lot of great things in my life. I graduated from both high school and college, law school, several service things I've done. All has been the goal. I want to come back here. I want to give back. And finally here having the opportunity that coming back to what I've been looking for the past at least 15 years. We go accomplishments, and we try our own class. I have rights and clear rights. I take it seriously. I love doing it. That works. Not to just be funny. Fighting for people's rights. One of the things I most remember is when I was first doing this intern in St. Joseph County, Indiana. I had a gentleman who had been in the courts for months on violations and I think maybe a couple misdemeanors. This gentleman had no job, wanted to do. We worked with him. He ended up going to jail for several months. As he was going, he shook his hand, thanked me because I was there. I helped him get through the legal system. He was guilty. I helped him resolve everything and he could finally move on. So, one more thing.
Alan, the office of sheriff is the only law enforcement position elected solely by the people. Can you talk a little bit about, as sheriff, who you're responsible to and who you're?
Sure, and what a great opportunity that would be to, to have, whoever wins here, to have somebody say, I want you to serve me. Really, the office of sheriff is one that the sheriff is a servant. He's not the boss. Obviously, he has to oversee certain things. But when it comes to an elected position as a sheriff, he is truly the servant. And when he can serve the people, then he's doing his job. So my responsibility is to you. My responsibility is to take care of you, to protect you, to serve you in any way I can. Law enforcement just isn't giving citations and arresting people and throwing them in jail. There's a whole lot more to it than that. When we talk about protect and serve, there's a whole lot more to it than that. And so I am at your will, as long as it is according to the laws that I am governed by. I'm at your will. But I've enjoyed doing that for 30 years. And I think that I gained the respect of the people here in this valley for the last 18 years and for the last 12 and a half years in the Atlanta Valley. And that's what I love to do. It gives me a great amount of joy. There's a couple of different ways to go with that answer. By both definitions, you're held accountable to the Constitution, the state Constitution, the laws, and ultimately by the citizens. You do everything right with the citizens aren't happy with you, they will replace you, as they should. That's the way our system works. The office of sheriff has to, by law, oversee a handful of things. A mandated run check. You have to provide a search and rescue. Now, if you don't have a search and rescue, and we see some of our search and rescue folks present, and they do a pretty good job, you better be willing to be out there in the middle of the night to fly looking for that lost hunter when the first snow is hitting. And there's more to it, as Alan said, than just going out and arresting people. There's components to a crime that you have to do through an investigation. You don't just open from there. You got to go out and do a solid investigation. So, remanding to custody those who are breaking the law, upholding the orders of the court. That's written right there in the law. That's one of the things you have to do. It's not always comfortable. It's not always a feel-good thing.
Sometimes you go home and wish you would come from death. It's just like a dream job sometimes. But you gotta execute the civil service. You know, which is another thing that does generate revenue back in. Not a feel good thing. You're held accountable by the court, by the law. And if you're not providing a service that they deserve, they can and should be paid. Thank you.
We have one final question for all the candidates, same question, and then we're going to just have folks finish up with what you think. I think we're up to 5 minutes, or however you want to talk a little bit more about code in terms of what you want to define. So we're just going to ask you to tell us about something you've done to make the community better.
Well, hopefully, in my job, I'm doing that every day. But I'll talk about something else. The head wrestling coach at Burn High School, and I was this past season, and then since I got here, I was volunteer coach. So this last season was the first season as head coach. And the reason why I do that is I think that it's another opportunity for me to try to promote common good, and specifically in that instance, helping boys become young men with strong characters. Wrestling can do that. If you don't have the right coach, doesn't necessarily inherently do that and make you a good person. But the structure of it with the right coach can really have a really positive impact on a young man. Teaching him how to work hard, how to be ethical and upfront, responsible, and committed, among the things So I think coaching has been one of the ways I've been trying to, another aspect to pursue professional opportunities. Thanks.
One of the ways I've tried to help make the community better is when I was in high school, participating in the Boys and Girls. The big brothers, big sisters of America was what it was, and I was big brother. Little brother, buddy. It was, could sometimes be a handful, but it was great working with them. And working with younger people, helping them grow up, working with in outside of my comfort zone, and being the best person I can be and helping him be the best person he could be is really important to me. And I have to continue doing that kind of work.
Oh, same question. I wasn't zoning out.
No, that's all right. We were yapping here at the same time. Just tell us about something you've done to make the community you live in better. One thing. And it's not law enforcement, but I always believe that we need to become part of the community and not an outsider, but become part of the community. And one of the greatest things that I've had the opportunity to do is to sing with my brother. And it was a privilege and an opportunity to have 3, concerts in the park, down at the Washington Park, and to be able to perform and be a part of the community and to give to the community. Now, I don't know, we're not the best singers, but we did okay. And it was a great opportunity to serve a group of people that came to the park. And I was one of the vocalists. And that's about all I could do.
but the ability to give a service to other people was just a wonderful opportunity. This is a great place to live. I have always enjoyed living here. You know, we moved here because of the people that we knew here and how the people were. So, if we can become part of the impact, it's a great opportunity to serve. And so, you know, my dad taught us how to sing years ago. You know, he grabbed me as a little boy with barbershop quartets, and Stacy and I and Kevin have just had that opportunity in human community. Actually, you're very good. I don't know. I'm a pretty simple guy. Really am. That's the thing I do is stop my life and he does a really good job with the Boys and Girls Club. Very invested in the school. I think probably did it for me that I've done, and whether it was popular or not for me, I believe that it's standing for what I believe is right, and even though it's not always the easier path. Thank you. We have opening sections from left to right, right to left. Take 3 to 5 minutes to talk anything you may want to cover that we haven't asked, anything you want to talk about yourself, what your goals are, whatever you'd like to talk about. You got 3 to 5 minutes, and when that's all done, we're done. I guess everybody knows that I talk on and on, so I don't know if I'm going to take it. I've only got 3 to 5 minutes. I don't have years and years of experience. I started law enforcement in 2002. I do have a broad experience in law enforcement, as I touched on before. I have been to the police academy in 2 different disciplines and been certified as working with discipline here in this community. And I believe that, well, I've done the best job I could in every situation. I believe that I bring a lot of experience to the table with my military experience in the 21 years of military service in 2 combat periods. And I have a lot of experience in managing people. I got a great deal of experience managing people who don't speak English. That was fantastic in that. Using an interpreter, you're never 100% sure what it's telling. Look at you a little bit funny. You're asking the local someone, and next thing you know, you're getting run out of town. But yeah, I think what I'd really like to touch on, because I see folks here from both sides of the fence, is that there's a lot of things that we need to work on in our community, and a lot of things that we can accomplish. And regardless of whether you agree or disagree on everything or anything, if our community puts up a united front and starts working on the issues at hand, and I'm sure that in most cases we agree on about 90% of stuff. Let's work on the 90% of stuff that we can work together on. Go down that path and accomplish some goals. And then worry about the other 10%. I've got friends and family that disagree with me on things. It doesn't mean that I love them and actually respect them anymore. I'm just like everybody else. I have emotions. I get mad, I get sad. But the one thing that I don't want to do is see our community fall apart over things that we can work through. This is an amazing place to live. Everybody that lives here, if you're over 18, Justin, I think you don't get to choose. The rest of us live here because we want to.
And we have every opportunity to work together and make fixes and make this a better place. Not that it's not already good. We have the opportunity to work together, make fixes, and show the rest of the world that we can settle our differences and set the example that needs to be set across the country. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of you who came out tonight and great listening to us. Members of the community who encouraged me to run. I'd like to thank my friends, Carol Baldini, who are not here tonight, support me. I really want to be the best person that I can be. I think I'm the best person for the job that every time down. I firmly believe that I would do a good job. I have spent the last several years defending people's rights. Like I said, I don't think I would change it in this district. We look at we look when they come to us, and that one big part is looking to see whether some constitutional rights or statutory rights were violated, and what are the remedies for that. In Oregon, we believe that those rights are personal rights, that if, say, for instance, someone switches the vehicle without wanting to make it behind one, we don't use that evidence against you if we're wrongfully obtained. And the reason we don't is because you, as an individual, have a right that is violated and you don't tolerate that. Now, people have asked me, well, how do you go between criminal defense attorney and student prosecutor? And they're really two sides of the same coin. As I said, we have an adversarial system. It takes both sides to make the system work. We go in, we're officers in court, both sides. We don't, I could seriously, oaths I've taken for the state bar, I could seriously do it. When we go in there, we're working for justice. We don't put out untruths. And so, as an attorney, one of the things I would absolutely do is promote transparency. I would never hide evidence. There's a section of law that's hide fault. That's something I wouldn't do. I've had the experiences with the officers there, and I don't have problems with that. I work at places where it's play games, where they don't want to hand over evidence because they say, well, I don't have to. And I'm not that way. We're about justice. We're about truth. If it's in my file and it's not protected for some very specific reason, like a confidential informant or something like that, it's going to be available to be exercised like that. And I think that's the best service when we're transparent, when we're open, and that's the kind of person I am. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My email is at timbobian1, that's number 1, at gmail.com. I've got some kind of feedback there for those that would like road signs. I hope you have them here this weekend, but I will see people later. It's supposed to be here tonight. I don't know how many more jobs and that he wasn't there yet. Yes, I really want to see the opportunity. We heard a lot about last night about opportunities for people to come back. And this really is an opportunity for the homegrown Green employees to come back to Harney to give back. Thank you.
I'm truly grateful for this opportunity. A lot of it's full of experiences, and this has truly been an experience. But, some people have asked me, said, what in the world are you doing? You just retired. Why would you want to jump right back into it? Retirement is good. And Tim, every day is a Saturday. Retirement is a good thing. But I love being a police officer, more than my, well, 30 years. That's a whole lot longer than I've lived as a youth, and so it's been part of my life. I have a broad range of experience. I was a city officer. I understand the ideas that go on within the city. I was a dare officer at SWAT. I'm a SWAT team, the Newburgh Dundee combined SWAT team. I was called to be a recognition expert, where I had the opportunity to evaluate people who were under the influence of things other than alcohol while operating a vehicle. I had many experiences and accomplished many things. But the reason why I want to stay in this because I look around the room here, and I probably know about every one of you like this. I'm horrible. But I recognize your faces, and I don't even stop at you. But I hope that contact was a good contact. And I hope that one of the reasons why you would vote for me is because of that contact, and the way I've treated you, the way I've treated the people, the way I've treated people who didn't belong to this area. Because that's who I am. And I hope you've been able to see me for who I am. I'm Italian Johnson, and I work at it. But I would suspect that you would know me the same one, whether I had a badge on, whether I had no clothes on. But you would know me. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm here, because I think that I've gained the trust and confidence of you. And again, about building a house. I don't know everything, but I've done a lot. I was taught good work ethic in my life. My dad, with 9 kids, try that out besides 9 kids. You try to deal with 7 boys and 2 girls. Because those boys were better. My mom said that. No lie. She said, I'd rather raise boys than girls, and she only had 2. My dad taught us great work ethic. And I worked hard all my life. I mean, I built both of my homes. That's just what I do. I modify homes here in this town. That's what I do. I work hard. And I promise you, I will work hard for you. That's just the way I am. And my wife is a wife of female, and she has to pull back the reins a little bit. But thank goodness she's let me accomplish the things that I've done. She's not here tonight. We've been married, what was that? We've been married, about 34 years. And she's just a wonderful person in this life. And she has been a delight all my life that I've known her. I have 6 kids. One of them here. And a granddaughter. Life is great. And it's great to be in Harney County. I really appreciate the opportunity to have this experience. Thank you.
First off, thank you everybody for the opportunity to say people things. That's very nice. One quick point, I disagree with a prosecutor and a defense attorney. There's two different sides of the coin. I do not think that. They are very, very different jobs. One, prosecutors represent the people, and that includes the defendant's interest. Okay? Whereas the defense attorney just represents one specific person. His job is to vigorously defend that person's interest. Very, very different roles are played there. Most prosecutors are involved in grand juries, warrants, all sorts of defense isn't involved in. We do run a very transparent office. I appreciate Mr. Bowman acknowledging that.
my purpose in life is, I believe, is to know, love, and serve God. A lot of people are can be called many different ways to fulfill that purpose, but I feel that I've been called to fulfill that purpose by promoting public safety and serving the common good. So my goal is to promote common good to the greatest extent possible. My mission in life is to promote the welfare, health, and safety of society through being a prosecutor, through promoting public safety. The goal of the district is to promote public safety. And that means that all meritorious cases are pursued, and the cases are handled in fair, ethical, and equitable manner. And that's how I operate. I am deeply invested in this community, and talk about coaching, great experience. And I'm a career prosecutor. I've reviewed thousands of charges. I've handled hundreds and hundreds of cases. And I've been preparing over the last 4 years for this opportunity to take the reins. I have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/A. And I have signs and samples in the back. Feel free to grab one. Throughout this whole election, we've had a couple of these now. Fields, Riley now here, and I don't know who's the case. I have really put myself out there in my beliefs and how I plan on running the office. And I don't know if that was the wisest thing, but it's how I am. I'm pretty transparent, I'm pretty open. Now, that being said, if I don't get elected, it would be a very clear rejection of my practices and policies. And so I would have to find a ground to move on. Because I'm not going to change how I do things, because how I do things, I think is the right way. And so I think if the people voted and said, think the right would be it, then I would have to listen to them, move on. But my wife and I have put down roots here, and we have made Harney County our home. And I want to stay here. The way I see it, this is my county, my town, my community, and I'm going to fight for people. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give them all another round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen, for standing up and running for office. That's a lawful profession and our opportunity to you all said it's a great deal and great experience for you. Thank you all. You could actually help us if you wouldn't mind by taking your chairs and taking them all and sticking them in the rack. If you wouldn't mind.
How you doing, man? You still rolling?